Alright guys, how's it going? It's the Eastbayanglers, and today we're talking all about bobbers. We want to talk today about bobbers and the size of your bobber. Does it matter whether your bobber's smaller, medium sized, a larger bobber? Does it matter whether your bobber has a smaller profile and is lightweight, or whether that bobber has a bit more weight to it and is a bit bigger? Does it matter if your bobber's red or if your bobber is clear? You know, the old classic red, white. They've got, you know, the new classic would be the neon yellow with the orange. And they've got some really cool ones that they have at Bass Pro Shops in all different colors. I like the black and chartreuse, hot chartreuse. But check this out, guys. Does it matter? I mean, seriously, a lot of you guys are throwing this bobber out, and you're, you know, gonna have a tagline or a leader, and it's gonna have a night crawler or a jig or some kind of a float and fly or just a variety of baits that you can put on there, almost endless. And from that point, you know, you guys can also apply these to bait fishing in the sense of you can put these on your line. I know you guys have probably seen people do this when they trout fish. You can put it on your line. I like to put it on the second or the third one down, and you basically attach a snap swivel, and that way you put that snap swivel on the bobber clip, and the next thing you know, you have a very nice strike indicator when you're bait fishing with power bait or night crawlers or whatever, and you're on the bottom. That's going to allow you to react to a bite before the fish actually feels the weight, because that's going to be something we're talking about today is, you know, does it matter? And let's start off right there. Yes, it matters, and let's start talking about why. Okay, does it matter how big your bobber is? Yes, because the heavier your bobber is, the more resistance it has, gravity, and that fish has to pull a little harder. If your bobber is really big and you're saying, well, I have to use a big bobber because it's really windy when I trout fish, no, you don't. So let the bobber swing, let it blow in the wind, because here's the thing, the smaller bobber is going to be more of a stealthy strike indicator, whereas those larger bobbers, some of those are meant for catfishing, guys, especially at night, so that it's easy to see night fishing. They're not made for, you know, those really finesse clear water situations, and they're just not made for a lot of smaller game fish. So if I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use a bobber, I'm going to go as light as I possibly can. I try to go as light as I can get away with. I attach that snap swivel. I leave the snap swivel open on the clip end. I actually bend it out, and what that does is a lot of times when I set the hook, I leave the bobber on. A lot of people take it off. I don't know what they're doing. They need to hold the rod down, wait for that bobber to start rising, and based on what you've seen, what the fish is doing and telling you, that's when you're going to go ahead and react, set the hook, and basically that bobber 50% of the time will stay on the rod till the end of the fight. 50% of the time it might come off. Either way, it's not a big deal. Every rare once in a while that bobber goes flying 30 feet behind you, which is always kind of funny, but it only happens once in a great while. So let's talk about the color of bobbers. Though, you know, let's say you guys are throwing a float out there, and you know, you got a bobber with a leader, and that leader has a night crawler or maybe a mealworm or a red worm, or you're fishing some kind of dead preserved bait. You're fishing something, whatever you're fishing. Maybe you're fishing plastic curly tail grubs. So when you're doing that, you're going to want to fish with a bobber that is very much gonna blend in with, you know, wherever you're throwing it. Let's say it's clear water, it's gonna matter a lot more than if you're fishing somewhere where it's extremely dirty water. It's not gonna matter as much. But if you're fishing in clear or stained water, you're gonna need to use a clear bobber to get the best results if you're, you know, trying to float something. And a lot of people, they probably think of a clear bobber and they're thinking of these ones they sell at the store. You want to start looking at the fly fishing bobbers, and they're called thingamabobbers. They're not easy to come by, especially in the smaller sizes and the most desirable ones, because they're so popular. They work every single year, they make them, and every single year they sell out like crazy. So go ahead and get the thingamabobber and change your world. When it comes to bobber fishing in general, this is something, you know, you want to put a fly on there, you want to put just about anything on there and catch just about anything. That's a great presentation. Now, on another note, some people, they just love those old slip sink bobbers. They're clear and they have a thing that you jam in to hold water once you fill it. You can fill it halfway or fill it all the way and, you know, work it on the bottom. And a lot of people, I remember, you know, mice tails had been popular using that setup, as well as flies and woolly boogers. So that's a classic, you know, little bobber setup that's just phenomenal. And in general, what you don't want to do is you guys don't want to go out there with the wrong bobber for the situation. It seems like it wouldn't matter much, but in my experience, a lot of times it does matter. I've seen it where a big bobber, especially when you're going for planted trout, that's when it's most important, I think, in general. These planted trout, they pick it up, they feel that resistance, and they let it go. That's just what they do. It's just what they do. Now, there are some occasions where, man, they just take it. Well, most of the time, that's not the case. They're very sensitive, and that's why everyone's using slip sinkers, slip rigs, Carolina rigs, whatever you want to call it. They're using sliding sinkers, and they're doing that for one reason. It's popular because it works, and it works because these fish are so sensitive now. So I really hope, you know, when you guys go out, you pick out your bobbers. Keep in mind that there are different bobbers you want to have in different situations. Let's say you're doing a float and fly. You can get away with a thingamabobber, but there's also some fill bobbers that are extremely nice. There's also some really cheap bobbers. You can also make your own bobbers. If you guys have no desire to spend money on them, then there's really no need. You can get like a snap swivel, and you can find just about any material or anything. And I mean, I've literally just anything, anything. So yeah, I hope this helps, guys. Stay tuned, got more coming.